Well, some new concerns tonight from parents following our buried investigation into coal ash near an Iredell County daycare. Some with kids attending Tutor Time of Mooresville reached out to us saying staff members never warned them their kids were regularly playing on top of and near a potentially toxic coal burning byproduct. Now, the daycare is built over and around 100,000 tons of coal ash. Its ingredients include carcinogens and one is radioactive. And after we expose this, the daycare is now taking action, but advocates say it's not nearly enough. And one parent told WCNC Charlotte's Nate Morabito she's considering moving her child to a new daycare.
This is what reacting sounds like. Crews spent hours outside Tutor Time of Mooresville, adding dirt, then turf, and mesh fencing in the playground area. Less than a week after WCNC Charlotte exposed what's buried here.
Those parents need to be warned.
Initially unclear if the daycare ever warned parents of the potential risk to their kids' health. Do the parents know that there's coal ash under here?
Not going to get roped into any of that, but thank you.
We now have that answer. Did Tutor Time ever tell you about the coal ash that was there?
No, it was never mentioned.
Never?
Never.
WCNC Charlotte has agreed to protect this parent's identity since she's afraid of retaliation for speaking up. The mother says our reporting left her deeply concerned.
Very afraid.
Namely about her toddler's well-being, but also the daycare's lack of transparency. That has to bother you that they didn't tell you.
It does. There was no disclosure.
And the failure of anyone to take responsibility for what's beneath and around these kids.
The ball was dropped so many times.
It all starts with Duke Energy. The utility legally sold coal ash that came from its nearby Marshall Steam Station as cheap fill dirt for construction projects decades ago. Not just here, but all across the area.
Is coal ash toxic?
No.
Since then, Duke Energy has repeatedly downplayed the potential for harm.
Several of coal ash's ingredients are toxic.
Even as experts and scientists warn of the dangers.
That makes coal ash toxic.
To limit the impact to the public, coal ash is supposed to be buried at least 1.5 feet underground. But during one of several visits to this site, I noticed what looked like exposed coal ash along that fence line where kids play every day. Our drone showed it too. So I alerted the daycare and state regulators. But advocates believe this is just a temporary fix. This is them covering up the true story.
I don't think it's safe.
Duke University professor Dr. Julia Kravchenko previously told us the only way to truly protect the kids from long-term exposure is to eliminate the risk completely.
These layers of coal ash, they should be removed.
This parent is grateful Tutor Time is taking some kind of initial action, even in the form of a reaction.
Don't want to take any chances here.
But she knows WCNC Charlotte has collected coal ash samples from a nearby median. Now we're just waiting on the results, and depending what they show.
If I could take him out today and afford to be out of work and keep him with me, absolutely.
She may react too and pull her child out of this daycare. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
And just today, Tutor Time shared new information about its efforts with this statement, saying, quote, "The safety of our families and staff is our top priority. We are working closely with environmental agencies to ensure that our school remains in compliance with all regulations, and we are committed to continuing to be a responsible employer for our staff and trustworthy service provider for the children in our care and their families." By the way, our Nate Morabito, as you heard there, continues to investigate here and is awaiting results from our own testing.
That's right. You can catch up on his previous report, I should say, at WCNC.com or inside our WCNC Charlotte mobile app. But still